Open video?
No, thank you. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shehakol na'eh b'dbarei. Chaim l'bracha. Hey, welcome, folks. So the new mimer that we began yesterday, continue. Right now, we're just going to go into the continuation of it instead of the review. Well, partial review. The verse that this mimer is discussing is from Shir Shirim, Song of Songs, King Solomon. Gan No'ol, a garden that is locked. Achoisi Kala, my sister the bride. Is the basic words that we're using. So we explained it as a literal garden. We explained it as a Garden of Eden. And now we explain that this garden that is a locked is Kiddushin, the first part of marriage. Betrothal would be the English term, I guess. And as we say it in the Shabbos davening, Shabbos and Yom Tov, that you've sanctified us in your mitzvahs and you have given us a portion of your Torah. So we explained that what does it mean sanctified in mitzvahs? The word kiddushin means betrothal. So sanctified betrothal. Let's use the word betrothal. You've betrothed us in mitzvahs. So betrothal is the idea of the bride prepared for the groom that she becomes through betrothal, which is the giving of a ring, and saying Hareyat Mekudeshesli B'tat Ba'asazu Zo Kedas Moshe Israel, that you are betrothed to me with this ring, as in the law of Moses and Israel, is the phrase it's said by the groom when he gives the bride a ring, and it's only a one-way giving of a ring. She becomes now forbidden to any other man for this betrothal. Remember, biblically, a man can marry more than one wife, right? So she becomes forbidden to any other man. So that's the idea of mitzvahs. Mitzvahs is that we are betrothed to God. Then there is and give us and give us our portion in your Torah, which that's called nisuyin. That is the final step of marriage, which is under the chuppah. It's through the Sheva brachas that are given, which is now that you can live together, because in Kiddushin there's no living together between husband and wife. They're betrothed to each other. Back in the day, 1,000 years ago, each would go home, or maybe even less than 1,000 years ago, they would go home, prepare for the wedding, right? And then set up home together. That's Nisuyin. Today we do those two steps together as one. I mean, one ceremony that has two steps. That is divided by the reading of the marriage contract, the ksuba. Um, um, Now, this is internalized, right? Because now there's an internal connection between husband and wife, bride and groom. And that's what study of Torah is internalizing the light of God. And as we say, Chelkenu, give us our portion. It's ours, right? So what we have here is Torah and mitzvahs. Mitzvahs first, which is Kiddushin. Torah is Nisuyin, right? Betrothal, and then the no, not the ketubah. Ketubah just separates the two. Right. Okay. There's something wrong online because I see very few people that are watching on YouTube and
Yeah, we'll
Facebook.
check it.
It's working, no problem. Okay.
Yes, it's working.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Could you simply repeat that ketubah is the Torah?
No, ketubah is a marriage contract that is read in between the two parts of the ceremony. It's sort of like dividing. It just is a divider between the first part, kiddushin, betrothal, the second part, nisuyin, full marriage. That's the way it is today. But here, Um, that's not what nisuyin means, but it brings, yeah, I guess you could call it that. Okay, so this is the idea. Kitshana b'mitzvah betroth us through your mitzvahs, and saying chalkin b'soisecha, and you have given us a portion of your Torah. That through mitzvahs, we draw from the divine the aspect of makif. Makif means encompassing light, right? And which encompassing light of God, the effect that it has on us, in other words, the effect of the mitzvah, is that it separates us from our desires, our lusts, and from bad character qualities. It's like it's like this. It's like a protective. A mitzvah is a protection in a sense, right? In its effect, a mitzvah is an attachment to God, for sure, right? That we betrothed to God, so it's an attachment to God. but the type of attachment is an encompassing one, right? In other words, it encompasses the two of them, that they are now like, that how to, just like you have a fence that encompasses you and keeps out things. So here, the effect of mitzvahs is it keeps out. Because when you're engaged in a mitzvah, you're engaged in God's thing. You're not engaged in your own desire, or your bad character qualities, because you're doing God's thing at that time. So that is in a way of makif, of that is beyond you, encompassing you, in the sense that but it's not you, right? It's separate from you. As Kiddushin now encompasses two people, right? That creates, that fence, that the bride is now prohibited to anybody else. No one else can enter this fence. No one else can enter this relationship. Is that clear? See the similarity? That's the idea of mitzvah. Now, what's important over here is also the order over here, is that as a result, now that you've separated yourself from the world, right? The bride, which is the Jewish people, by the way, right? In this relationship with God, separate ourselves from the world and all negativity that we have of ourselves. We separate ourselves. That gives us the capacity that we could now internalize the light of Torah. That it becomes a part of me. Right? As it says, your Torah is in my stomach. It's like food that is ingested and becomes a part of you, which that's Nisuyin. Nisuyin is the second part of a marriage, of where now you live together, right? So you're not just, separated from the rest, but now you are living together, right, as one, which that's the idea of Torah. In other words, it becomes internalized,
Right?
the union. As bread becomes internalized, it becomes a part of you. Yes, it's nourishing. It's nourishing in a way that internalizes. Mitzvahs is more like the roof of the house. It separates you from worldliness, the world desires, the desires that you have for for things of the world, and your negative things that are drawn because of what's outside there, right? That's the makif. That's the encompassing, right? As the roof encompasses you, separates you, or as the fence separates you, right? So we gave the metaphor, right? So the Rebbe continues, says we can add to this metaphor of mitzvahs and Torah, are kiddushin and nisuyin, are betrothal and marriage, in two ways. The manner of the way the light of God is drawn down, the the drawing down through mitzvahs that a person fulfills draws down a light that is makif, that's encompassing, right, as we said, and that the Torah, when a person engages in Torah, that the light of God is internalized, right? Those are the two things, right? Encompassing, internalized. Also, the drawing down itself of the divine light is the drawing down through Torah study is greater and more internalized than that of mitzvahs. Right? It's greater. And that's why it can be internalized and become a part of you. Therefore, when you draw down Torah, it is also metaphorically like the drawing down of, right? Let's take the metaphor of the groom and the bride. The groom is God, the bride is the Jewish people, right? So in the second part of marriage, where it becomes internalized, well, it's actually, David, as you said previously, that's where consummation takes place, meaning union, physical union between the husband and wife, between the groom and the bride. And the groom gives, through consummation, the tipa, the sperm that is giving, literally drawing down a piece of him, literally, right? Because through that, it creates a child, of course, that is a part of him. Now, part of the mother too, but that for the metaphor's sake, right? For the sake of the metaphor, and that's what's important over here, is that it's a metaphor that we're learning here. Uh, for the sake of the metaphor, we're talking about God. What is being drawn through this union of consummation of the marriage is that we're drawing down, right, through this union, a piece of God that's internalized, right? With Torah, exactly. So, and that's what it means in these words, chelkenu b'seder secha, a portion, that in the word chelkenu, our portion. So we're getting um, meaning our portion, which is a portion of God, right? And we're getting a piece of God that is our portion, right? As the seed, the semen, right, is a piece of the of the husband, right? What kind of piece of him is it? Essential, because it's got all of him in that seed, right? All of him. In other words, not like right now when I'm teaching, you have a ray of light from me, but in the seed, you have the essence of the person, the DNA, right? You have the essence of the person, right? So that's the key in the metaphor over here. I hope that that's not being lost on. I hope everybody's getting that. So through Torah study is what's important over here to understand is that we have literally a part of God, and it's internalized, becomes a part of us. And when you get a piece of God, you get a piece of the whole. Just like in the semen, it's only like, what is it? Like it's only semen, right? No, in that piece, you have a piece of the whole. So likewise, when we're studying Torah, we're getting a piece of God. And in that piece, you have the whole of God. In what manner? In a manner that's internalized, as opposed to mitzvahs, right? Which is encompassing light, that's not internalized, right? That its effect is, as we said, that it separates you, because when doing the mitzvah, you're doing God's thing and not your thing, which is your desire, your lust of whatever it might be, and your natural animalistic, negative self, self-absorbed self. All right, that was heavy duty stuff.
Thank you, Abba.
You got it, folks.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Very interesting.